are you?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And you?
Oh, well, yes, good. Have you had the snow?
No, we don't often get it down here. We're a bit too far south anyway.
Yeah,
But
you
because
are.
I'm so close to the sea,
The sea. Yeah.
and at the bottom of a hill, very, very.
Yeah. No, I mean the sea will really sort of knock it back because it's got to be a hell of a cold for that to come.
We have had it before, but not
for a long time. No, we've had it really well, and it's been gorgeous. And we're apparently going to get some more at the end of next week. So it's probably going to be over by about the beginning of February, according to the Met Office at the moment. But you can't tell because weather does precisely whatever it likes, and everybody tries to keep up. I was thinking of you because you'd said, there's no snow for midwinter and that. And I said, there was here.
It has been cold. We did have a flurry last week before, I think. It has been bitterly cold here. But no snow. It's raining today.
Raining today here too, which is taking the last of the snow away for the moment, unless it does tip some more on us next week. But you can see sort of because I'm in me cashmere jumper.
It's January. January's just cold and wet and miserable as far as I'm concerned. It's a hibernation month.
It's a largely indoor work month, but I had the tree men round yesterday because I've got a big garden and lots of trees need pruning and the huge great holly hedges around me, and I can't sort those out.
No.
So they're here for 3 hours. Well, they're all done, love, and they're great. So there is a bit of work, but again, if I have it done now, then the birds aren't actually nesting in the hedges.
Yeah.
And it's all sort of sorted, and so they can all get on with it now for the rest of the year. But he comes around every year about January or maybe early February, and they're nice blokes. That was a funny one. I don't know whether you've noticed it, but I mean we're in serious lockdown now.
Yeah.
And for whatever it means and whatever, it doesn't actually make a lot of difference to me.
I don't think I've stepped outside the house since March. So.
Well, I've certainly been outside the house, and I've been to a few places, and I've been up our hills and things like that.
I've been for dog walks and things like that.
Yeah.
I've not stepped inside a shop.
I've stepped inside about 3 or 4 shops, but Paul does the shopping mostly.
I do it online. I have been to a couple of garden centres.
No, I haven't done that. I haven't done that yet. But I do a lot of online shopping too, and actually it's fine. But that was part of what we were talking about, the guys and I, because they're out and about all the time. And so are, of course, all the delivery drivers.
Yeah.
And then I went for my walk yesterday. So I went down to the farm, which is about half a mile away. And there's the brother of the wife of the farmer, the usual thing in the country. 15 times removed kind of thing. Anyway, he's the lawnmower man. Seriously, everybody knows him as the lawnmower. He's really nice. There's no sort of horror story stuff in there. But anyway, so I walked down to him and I said, how about I bring you my lawnmower? He said, don't even start. So I said, thanks very much. No, he's been around the place a lot because he's got all the local authority ones and that sort of thing doing. He said, I'll do you next month, love. But so we were chatting about it. And these guys, I mean, they're all sort of like 40-something, maybe some of them about 50. They're not going to get the vaccination, maybe even this year, certainly not till autumn. And they're in the middle of it. They're out there all the time.
No, I guess the tree guys and that, they're all outside, which makes it better, doesn't it?
But they're meeting people all the time, and they're not always outside because they've got to go and get their petrol. They've got to get the oil for the chainsaws. They've got to get in the shops for things. And there's me, and I live up here, and I hardly go out there except like you for a walk and that kind of thing. And yes, I've got a bunch of diseases and I take a load of meds and I'm what they call vulnerable. So I'll have the bloody vaccination by mid-February. And in many ways, I don't really need it. But these guys do.
Yeah. Difficult, I suppose. It's difficult to kind of prioritize, I suppose, isn't it? I wouldn't want to start with any of it. I wouldn't want to be in charge of any of it. I would want to be dealing with it. It sounds like a logistical nightmare to me. And whatever you do is right with some people and wrong with others, isn't it? It's no, I wouldn't want that.
That's the worst bloody trouble.
All the tea in China, no thanks.
Yeah, that's the worst bloody trouble. But I wish people could, I mean, I'm not going to say, at least I don't think I'm going to say no to the vaccination. But I wish people could sort of say things like that. So why don't you do the guys who are delivering my groceries from Sainsbury's first? But it's all right, me first, isn't it?
Everybody for themselves.
Everybody thinks of me.
This whole thing has brought out the good in some people and the really bad in others. Yeah, it has been a two-sided, completely opposites, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it? And that really interests me about it, because that's where you really got a dog there this morning.
He's cold. He's like, he wants
baby.
The blankets. There you go. Right now. Yeah.
But the whole COVID thing does fascinate me, because it seems to me it's so much, if only we could read it, of other worlds sort of saying, look, guys, what do you really want? Who do you care about?
I don't think anyone knows that, do they?
Well, they don't really. They sort of know it in their head, but when it comes down to it, it's down to me. Too often.
Yeah, no,
anyway,
I would. Yeah. I wouldn't want to be the one making all those decisions. I know that.
No, but I've got my own ideas about that. I mean, I think it's about time we all start making our own decisions.
Yeah.
I think, and stop sort of dumping it on somebody else and then blaming them when they get it not like we want it.
I think that's a big thing anyway, though, isn't it? Taking responsibility for things. I think that goes across everything, doesn't it? Maybe it is, I don't know, is it a sign of the society today that people don't want to take responsibility for things? There's that huge uplift in suing everybody for everything and anything. Yeah. Because people perhaps don't want to take or don't take responsibility for their own actions these days. I mean, I guess we have a different view of it because we deal with that with magic, don't we?
Exactly.
We've got to take responsibility for it. Yeah. That gives us a different perspective. I don't know. But people do seem to be very quick to blame others for things these days.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe wasn't my fault, love, and it's he shouldn't have been washing the floor that time. And then he doesn't wash the floor, so you go in and you complain that you've got a cold because he hasn't washed the floor.
Yeah.
And you sort of go but no, and I don't think anybody much is really taught to do responsibility. I watched, I did get some really nice stuff on that the other day. The Southwest Scotland Clackmannanshire Wildlife Trust, as they used to, like all of wild trusts, they used to have, every other month a meeting, and you turn up, and we used to go to ours here and that sort of thing. And they're really nice and they're fun and the people talking about something interesting. Anyway, of course, they couldn't from lockdown. So they decided, we're still having meetings. We're really going to get a handle on Zoom. And they did. And they have. And they do the most fantastic programs, about an hour long meeting, and there's, chance for questions through it and all this kind of stuff. And quite fascinating. Anyway, there was this lassie who's really into the mammals and things like that. She's their mammals woman.
Right.
And so she was showing us all this, and she goes to schools and things a lot, and she does like Halloween parties with and shows them bats and real bats.
Oh, excellent.
Shows them where to find bats and how to use a bat detector and all this kind of thing.
Oh, I'm up for that.
Fantastic. And she said, when you get the kids like that, and then you're out for a walk, and so they see some litter and they see a bit of wire or a bit of the mesh things you put cans of beer in.
Oh yeah.
And so she shows them, and then she shows them what can happen to an animal.
Right.
And they immediately go, oh no, can't have that, which is bad. And she says they're really getting it. She said the grown-ups are a pain in the butt though.
Yeah, I can.
I've always done that. I don't care, Yeah. And the kids do care. So maybe this, maybe this is nice.
Maybe there's hope. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good, and the kids were fantastic, and they could spell pterodactyl and things like that as well. They knew the 15.
I have to think about that one.
They were really interested in the species of bats and what their Latin names were and how you could tell the difference and all this sort of thing. And with everything, like with hedgehogs. And then she did a whole thing on owls. And she said, well, I know an owl's not a mammal, but they eat mammals. And this is how they do it and where they do it. And in the in the undergrowth here, and if you've got tussocky grass, then the little mice can go in there, and then the owl can come and eat the little mice, and then everything will be fine. And it was just great. And I thought, she's actually doing a whole bunch of spiritual work there.
Yeah, very much needed. Yeah,
it really is. It's like, we're not separate. These little beings have lives, and they're all part of us, and the grass is part of us, and the tree is part of us, and everything. And I thought, yeah, bloody marvellous. And they've mostly been like that. The Zooms we've been watching, and it's really, really nice. So there's some hope in the life.
Yeah, well, something's got to be done, hasn't it? Otherwise, we're doomed.
Yeah. And laughter aside, yes, we are.
Mm-hmm.
Because and that's another thing. I mean, I'm sure you get it. Somebody says, "Oh, let's go and sort of do a ceremony at the stone circle and save the planet," and you sort of think, actually, the planet's fine. You want to save yourself.
Yeah, the planet will continue long after we're gone.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, what you need to do is sort yourself out, guys.
Yeah.
But then again, that's taking responsibility, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's lovely to do magic and to come together to send energy to the universe, to the planet, whatever. But what it boils down to is practical stuff,
isn't it?
It's all very well lighting a candle and sending the energy out there. You've actually got to get off your butt and do it, haven't you? You
have. And also to realise that it doesn't actually require you to sit down and turn the incense on and light the candle in order to be able to send the energy out there. You can do that while you're washing up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And people
washing up liquid, obviously.
You want to have fairy liquid, otherwise you won't manage it at all.
But I always say that. I mean, having had sort of 5 people in the house and a dog and all the washing, and a lot of people are stuck to budgets, and the eco-friendly stuff does often tend to be more expensive. And I think you have to do your own little bit. You have to, even if you change one thing, it makes a difference. And now that we've got less people in our home, the budget is a bit bigger to work with. So I've moved to eco-friendly toilet paper. It's one thing.
Yeah.
I use eco-friendly washing tabs in the washing machine. Mm-hmm. I've moved from pump bottle of soap to bars of soap. But it is quite often a little bit more expensive. So you do have to balance out the budget, don't you? But everyone can pick up litter. Everyone can cut the plastic rings that you put around the cans before you throw them in the bin. It's, you can do your own little bit, isn't it? You don't have to be complete eco warriors.
No, and with the, you know, with the litter and things like that, I mean, you can start off, and I mean, especially people with kids, and the kids will take it really well, is other kids don't throw it away, bring it home.
It's a simple thing, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't have to throw it away, and then you can put it in your own bin, whatever your bin is, and then it shouldn't end up, you know, in the local woods.
Yeah.
It'd be quite hard work for it to end up in the local woods. You know.
It'd have to be a very dedicated piece of rubbish.
I really fancy going around the rubbish tip, picking them up and throwing them in the woods.
It does. It makes you. It does make your heart break, doesn't it? Really. I mean, I live on the city, but there's hedgerows and trees along the streets. But to see crisp packets shoved in the hedges, there's no need for it. No need for it. We're in a city. There's litter bins everywhere.
Yeah.
It's laziness.
And for goodness sake, most people have a coat with a pocket.
Yeah.
So you stuff the old bag in your pocket, and when you get home, you take your pockets out.
Yep.
And I don't know, but now that seems to be so hard. And it's so hard to get people to understand that it makes a difference.
Yeah.
And it's a little thing. And, you know, everybody looks at the, you know, frightful pictures of, you know, the Pacific with sort of about 25 acres of plastic floating around in it.
It's horrifying, isn't it?
It is. The beaches and things like that. And you think, well, think how that got there. Actually, it's you.
And we're back to
it's not a big company, you know, you can't go and shout. There's not really any point in going to shout at Starbucks if you're still going to go there and do it.
Yeah. We have a very lovely local little cafe that does all the coffees. I don't go to the chain ones unless I'm, you know, out and about and it's the other thing, but I prefer to support the local ones, and they do recyclable cups.
Yeah, they do. But it's up to you as you're doing what you choose to do.
Yeah.
Even if you do go to Starbucks.
Thought, isn't it? Split second of thought. That's all it takes.
Yeah, and even if you do go to Starbucks, surely there's something you can do to help life by going there. There must be.
Yeah, it's just a bit of thought, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And it's people, I think, don't realise that's all part of magic.
Mm.
But it is. It is.
It's funny. I've had quite often people saying, "Oh, I can't keep up with my witchcraft because I don't have time for it."
Mm.
I have to kind of say, why don't you have time for it? It's all about working it into what you do. No one has time to get up in the morning and wash your face in dew and pick the flowers and some demons before breakfast and then do a full-on ritual. Nobody does all that on a daily basis.
No.
That's not really what it's all about, is it?
No.
Is working it. Like you say, washing up.
Yeah.
It's visualization, isn't it? I mean, if you're having a bad day and you're washing up, take that energy, let it wash away with the washing up soaps and things. It's thinking outside the box, isn't it?
It is. And I mean, I'm going to be horribly feminist, which I never am, but I'm going to do it anyway. I mean, we're women.
On this program.
We're women. We can multitask. I can wash the dishes and be thinking about the energy on the stone circle up the hill. I really can. Almost anybody can. Actually isn't gender dependent. But it's and then, I mean, I don't know, have you had it in your experience that people think, oh, it's disrespectful to talk to the goddess while I'm washing up?
Oh no, I haven't heard that one, but I can see how people would say that. Yeah.
I've had that sort of thing, and you sort of go, hey, you know, oh, but I'm not focusing on her. Well, you can focus on her and keep scrubbing the cup, can't you? You know.
Particularly as really she's always with us, no matter what we're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That gets a bit exciting for some people when they realise she's still there when you go to the loo or in the shower.
Wait outside the door.
No. Yes, right, fine. But that's a sort of human thing, isn't it? You know,
yeah.
Not a magic thing.
Particularly in today's busy, fast-paced life.
Yeah.
If you are a working wife, mother,
yeah,
pet owner, whatever, you don't have as much time as you probably want. Yes, pet owner. He was squeaking because his blanket had fallen off.
Oh.
Yeah, you have to work your magic into what you do on a daily basis, don't you? I mean, sometimes I have the time and the inclination to cleanse the house with smoke properly and do the chant and all that business, but other times I just do it as I'm doing the hoovering.
Exactly. Yeah, I do that too. Yeah. And you know, they are dusting, and you're also doing all the energy cleaning as the duster's going round.
Yeah.
And what's the difference?
Yeah. No. Again, multitasking again, aren't we? See.
And it's this thinking I can, and I mean, one of my students, one of the Rainbow Warriors, she's got 3 little kids, or you know, 1 medium-sized kid and a couple of smaller jobs, and she involves them with the work, and they remind, you know, she forget, Mum, you haven't done this today, and well, come on then, let's do it together. And they do, and she does, and of course they're getting it all when it's so easy.
They're very perceptive, aren't they? They do. I mean, I haven't brought my children up as pagan particularly, but there were things that they picked up on as they were growing up, and we did things that helped, like my son made a spell pouch to hang on the end of his bed to protect against nightmares, and my daughter had a little crystal bag to take to school with her to protect and to give her self-confidence and stuff like that. Children are very perceptive to things like that, aren't they?
And they absolutely know it works, because they don't need all the sort of academic reasoning to prove it.
No.
And you know, they don't know that they don't have to read Tacitus footnotes on so and so in order to believe it works. You know? And it's great, because they go, oh, everybody does that, you know, that's fine, I do that. And it's lovely to watch it happen, and especially when the parents like to do it, and it becomes part of the household. You know, and so in that sense, you're not teaching them magic, you're just being with them like a parent normally is. And it's a lovely
practical side, as well as my children, we've only got 1 at home now, but they had to do chores to earn their allowance.
Oh yeah.
We did. Our youngest, he's 15, he's the one left at home. We did catch him the other day washing up with his earphones in and his mobile phone propped up on the draining board, and he was washing up watching YouTube on his mobile phone on the draining board. No wonder his washing up so rubbish. He was totally busted.
Oh, totally.
But it is, you know, I think people expect a lot more these days. I don't know, maybe it's making me sound old, maybe I've got a slightly different skewed version, but people seem to want things now. They want things instantly. They don't want to have to work for it and think that money just lands. But I think if you do, particularly with chores and things like that, get the kids to do them so that they go away with life skills as well. I wonder how many kids leave home and don't know how to change a light bulb.
Quite a few, unfortunately, apparently. or boil an egg or something.
Yeah.
You know, just feed themselves.
Yeah.
They can probably handle turning a microwave on. But more than that, it's sort of like, I mean, I'm antique anyway, but I was brought up that, you know, you were part of the family, and Mum was tired, so you do the washing up now.
Yeah, we did. We had to share in the job. Both my brother and I left home being able to cook.
Oh yeah,
you know, anything and everything kind of thing.
Yeah. And clean the house and do the washing up and you know, sort out the shop. Well, I mean, I actually got started on doing the shopping when I was about about 4. And there was a co-op at the bottom. Do you remember the old co-ops with the wooden counters and the wooden everything and a stool so you sat down and you gave the girl your list? I mean, this is the 1950s.
And they did it for you.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. I still got the memories. Anyway, I'd be sent down to it because I didn't have to cross any roads, so it was just straight down to the bottom of the corner in there, and I'd have a list that, you know, Mum had written out. And you go and get me the flour and the sugar sort of thing. And so, you know, Chin was just about getting up to the counter kind of thing. And you do it and you counted out the money and counted out the change, and the person did it with you. So you started to learn to count even. And then you trot it back, you know, put it in the basket and trot it back up. I did shopping, you know. I was the best thing since Queen Bee kind of thing. And I was really proud of it. I remember being like that. And I wasn't the only one. I mean, my little friend who lived next door, she did the same thing. And I think people don't realise that kids can actually enjoy being part of something.
Yeah. My mum would probably be horrified, but she did used to send me to the shop. And I must have been probably no more than 5 with my little brother, with a little note saying 20 silk cut, please. With £1 or whatever it was in those days. And I must have only been 5 or 6. And I used to walk round to the shop and the shopkeeper would give me the packet of cigarettes and I walk home again. You couldn't do that these days, obviously, but
I suppose you couldn't. And yet, you know, that's weird too, because so you can't see the kid with a packet of 20 silk cut in their hands in the street, and yet Dad or Mum says, "Oh, pass me the cigarettes, love."
Yeah,
and the kid takes them off the shelf.
I do remember that. I remember doing that. But we did. We left home with life skills, which is good.
Indeed, and with an idea that, you know, it didn't all come to you by accident.
No, that you have to earn things, or you have to save things.
Yeah, and you had to, you know, you had to clean up after yourself, do a bit of work. You had to cook some dinner, and and it was sort of like, of course you do, kind of thing. And yet you don't get so much of that now, and I think that's part of this responsibility thing.
Yeah, and the kids always laugh when they say, "Oh, look it up on the internet." We used to go to the library.
Yes.
If we wanted to do anything for school or look anything up, go to the library, look it up in books.
Well, we did too. I mean, not that I'm anti the internet or anything, because I use it all the time. And it is very, very useful because, I mean, as a writer, you know, I did quite a lot of research, and so I can actually get books or get to see the things, and not the actual books, but get to see things, say from the British Library.
That
I couldn't get unless I went there and filled all the right forms in and waited and saw it. But I can get them, and through lots of universities or through all sorts of things, through the internet. And it's really useful. I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it's this sort of, you've still got to do it. And I don't know, you must find this too. You know, you want to look something up. And so you type the question into Google, and then you get a whole load of films come back at you. And you think, that's not what I meant.
You've got to be careful what you type.
What's the question that Google's going to hear that's going to make sense, that's going to get me what I want? So you actually have to work quite hard working out what the question is that's going to get you what you want to know. And I mean, some of the answers that come up, you sort of go, huh?
Yeah, you have to be a bit, you have to pick and choose, don't you? You have to double check things too, because there's a lot of stuff out there that's a bit iffy.
Well, it's like I use Wiki a lot, but you have to, you know, I've always got a large pot of salt beside me.
You've got to double check, haven't you? Yeah.
And you go down, you think that's my starter for 10. So he's talking about so and so and so and so. So then you look that up.
Yeah.
And he's talking about something else. So you look that up. I end up with about 10 tabs across the top of it. Quite easily. But if you do, and I think that kind of work is fine because it's making you use your head.
Yeah.
And
but of course, the kids at the moment, 15-year-old, is learning from home, and the teacher is doing all of their lessons via Zoom or Teams or something, I think it is. But he's on the screen from 8:30 till 3 every day. Doing the lessons as he would be doing them in the classroom.
And I think that's brilliant.
Without the internet,
please, because they need to know this. And to be honest, I think they actually need to know how to work online, because I'm hoping, and I know it does happen to some extent, they can work with anybody else anywhere in the world.
Yeah. Oh, it has, hasn't it? It's opened up. It's opened the globe up, really.
Yes. And I mean, I've noticed it with students, because since I've got the new website, which can now handle people from all over, they are coming from all over, and it's great.
It is fantastic, because that wouldn't have happened otherwise, would it?
No. I mean, to come to me for a workshop here when you live in Australia or USA or somewhere, it's going to cost you a fortune. But I am learning. I'm much better at it than I was 6 months ago.
A baptism of fire.
Well, my learning curve is like this, But I'm learning to get them to do all the workshop stuff where they live via Zoom, come back, share it with everybody else, discuss, chat, off to do the next bit, come back, share. And it's actually working better than it did when they came here.
Yes. Yeah, you've got different options, haven't you?
Yeah.
It is an age of technology, isn't it? I mean, you sent me a link for a podcast about the chaps talking about, are we too reliant maybe on all of the electronic gizmos? And I thought, well, thinking about it, our eldest is 20 next month, and we got our first mobile phone when I was pregnant with her, because my husband was out and about, or if I was out and about, we had the phone just in case I went into labour.
Good idea.
But now everyone has them. But I mean, our children, although we taught them to use computers fairly young, because we thought having computer skills would be an advantage, we still took them to the library. We taught them how to read. Both of them could read before they started preschool.
Yeah.
They both love books. It was balance, I think, at the time for us. But I wonder now, they didn't have mobile phones until they actually walked to school on their own, which we thought was a safety thing. But you do, is it right or wrong to give a small child now a mobile phone or a tablet, or... don't know. I think it's about balance. I think it's got to be about getting the balance. But we can't do it without them now, really, I don't think.
And I don't think we should be. But, I mean, if the kid spends the whole life curled up in the sofa with their Kindle Fire or something, and never goes outside and never sees a bird and never puts their fingers in the earth and never goes for a walk, that's awful.
Yeah.
But one thing with that podcast is, like, and this is like talking to the goddess while you're washing up, is I don't need to turn the mobile phone off to talk to the goddess.
No, I don't think that would have occurred to me either. No.
And it's sort of like, in fact, I will tell you this one because it's really funny. A few years back, we were doing a workshop down on Exmoor, which was fantastic, and part of it was going up and spending quite a lot of time in the dark up at a place called Wamborough, which was 3 Bronze Age barrows, and they've each got a dip in the top. And if you go and sit in each of them, you get a different flavour, very much 3 worlds flavour.
Excellent.
Anyway, it was gorgeous, and one of the students had gone, and then they did their stuff, and then one of them came back, and we were sharing what happened, and she said, it was all right, but then on Exmoor at that time, it may be better now, but certainly getting a signal on the moor was almost impossible.
Yeah.
So she got her phone in her pocket. Her phone rang while she was sort of in the middle of stuff in the middle of this barrow. And so Fiona and I looked at her and said, did you answer it? And she went, no. And then she went, oh. And so Fiona piled her back in the car and piled her back up. It was only a couple of miles up the road to the barrow, and she got in it, and the phone did ring again, and it wasn't anybody in that sense, but she took it and she pressed the button, but nothing audible came out. But she got this vision, and it was really important to her.
Yeah.
And she came back and she said, I would never, ever have thought of Otherworld using the mobile phone to get my attention.
Why not?
Exactly. Exactly. And she said, no, that's really shook me up.
Yeah.
I mean,
songs on the radio come on, or program on the television comes on, and it's a key, it's a spark, or it's a memory, or why shouldn't they use technology?
Well, I'm sure I know they're perfectly capable of it.
You'd be a little bit freaked out if she did actually phone you on the mobile phone. Hello,
I think she would have been a bit freaked out at that. So I think Otherworld held back from that one. And sort of like, let's only take her so far, otherwise she'll totally freak out and jump off a cliff or something, but no, and it was also because it was lovely for everybody else, because and we'd never experienced that before.
No.
I mean, we hadn't sort of said it can't happen or anything like that, but we just like, oh well, fine, okay, new way of doing things, fine.
Yeah. But I mean, the phones in particular, I use it for meditation quite a lot because of all of the, YouTube meditation music and crystal bowls, and I don't have a gong bath in my bedroom, but I can get it on the mobile phone. So it's really useful from that point of view.
I use it when I'm journeying, when I'm out too, and I put the voice recorder on and I talk it through.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then I've got it.
Yeah.
And I just talk as it comes. You know, and what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling and la la la, all that stuff. And because when I get home, then I can re-listen to it. And it's quite fast. I don't know if you've ever done it. Do try it sometime, because your voice changes.
Right.
You're not in the everyday world. You can hear it.
Yeah.
In yourself, and because you remember what your journey was, but your mind has expurgated bits of it, and the recording hasn't.
Yeah.
And Kathleen Matthews taught us to do that in 1980 something. But then you used the tape recorder.
Yes.
But I was stunned when I first started doing it. Yeah, I've got to do this. And so I encourage the students to do it if they can, because you don't remember clearly, not quite as clearly as
no,
you could.
not at all. Yeah.
And,
yeah, I think we need to embrace, if that's the right word, the tools that we have available to us, that, you know, move with times kind of thing. I mean, it's lovely to go out and switch off to the world and go and sit in a field or whatever, but yeah, I think we have to embrace technology and what it can do for us, really.
Indeed. And if we use it wisely, that's lovely.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not the technology that's wrong, it's how we use it, our intention.
Back to responsibility.
Back to that. What else is there? Yeah, right. Okay. But it is.
The people walking along the road like this.
I think
just you know, you're crossing the road.
There's a tree, there's a bird, there's a car, there's another person.
Yeah, it has to be all done in moderation, doesn't it? Definitely. But you know, we've also always got a camera on us these days as well.
Exactly.
And, you know, to take images of beautiful things or nature or whatever we see.
Yeah, yeah, and it's wonderful what you see, and you think, I can't take that, but I want to remember it.
Yeah.
You know.
Although I have been to gigs where people have watched the whole gig like this through the phone, recording the entire gig, and you think, no, don't, please don't do that. Be in the moment, enjoy the atmosphere, and watch it with your eyes.
Exactly. I must watch out for that. My friend down the road here and I, we're going to. Now I can't pronounce this. The Swedish group, is it Vårdrum?
Oh, well, yes.
Yes, Vårdrum. And
I have no idea if that's how you pronounce it. But
anyway, then. I love their music. I think they're gorgeous. And they're up at Birmingham in April. Right. So we've booked ourselves tickets to go, hoping to God we can go. Which nobody knows, of course, at the moment.
We need April. We're going to Tintagel in April.
Yeah, right, okay. April, we're going towards Vårdrum. That's fine. And so I must watch then, because I wouldn't be able to. Anyway, they video it themselves if you want to watch them. But, you know, I want to be there watching them do this, watching him feel as he's playing and singing, and her when she's singing and this. And it's like, no, I want to feel them.
Yeah, that's the whole point of a live performance, isn't it? You've got to experience the whole thing. But yeah, I have seen that quite a lot at gigs. I know.
Right. Gun out. Recycle quickly before it gets worse. Sorry, I'm vicious like that. But you sort of wonder, really, you really do. And it's not being part of something.
No, you've got, you're missing out on the point we're talking.
And I will kill them if they do that. I just got a vision of the students, if I take them to one of the sacred sites around here when I next can. And, you know, they all get there and they start like this. I shall go around with my stick smashing everybody's phone out.
I wonder how much people go through lives blinkered, really, not taking it all in. I'm sure you teach it, I know, and I teach it as well.
I know you do, yeah.
The energy, you've got to connect with the energy around you. It's so important.
Yeah, you're not an observer in this. You're a participant.
Yeah, and it is. We're back to balance again, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, again, our youngest, he likes to play on the Xbox, but he's not on his own. He's quite often shouting down it. because they're all online. So he's got a group of friends that are all sitting in their own homes, and they play this same game together, and they've all got their headsets and things on. He probably spends more time with his friends online than I probably did when I was out and about with my friends, because they can do it anytime.
Yeah.
But they're all interactive. It's just voices and pictures on screens.
Yeah, I like that, but I also think that you've got to have this physical again, and then the physical feel of the air vibrating between you.
Oh, he has to come on dog walks with me regularly. I make him get out in the fresh air if he's not actually walking to school.
And it is sort of like, you know, I mean, we can't touch each other now, but it would be lovely, you know, if I was sitting in your living room there and we were actually able to touch each other, and there's another person, there's skin.
Yeah, the human contact.
Yeah. And you need both. I mean, one of the tenets of the way I teach is and, not either or. And it's not either black or white, it's black and white.
Yeah,
you know, it's plants and trees, plants and animals, and humans and animals, and everything is and people do that. People are terribly brought up into either or. And another of my students, she chants the Buddhist Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. Fine, I used to do that, and it's not me anymore, but it works for her. So she started with me months and months ago, and eventually, you know, the niggle that was inside that I could see came out. She said, should I be chanting when I'm doing this work? I said, why not? Do you mean I can chant and do this work? Yes. And, you know, certainly the goddess isn't going to object. I don't know whether your Buddhist friends will object, but if they do, tell them to stick it somewhere and carry on doing it.
That's interesting that she questioned it, though. Something must have sparked for her to question it, which is good, isn't it?
And it was also, it was when she actually did it in the group, and several of them said, I've worried about things like that too. I thought, bloody hell.
Yeah, this is what I always say to people. There are no stupid questions. Just ask it, because chances are 5 other people are thinking, I'm too embarrassed to ask that question.
Exactly.
But I want to know the answer.
Exactly. And of course, it just like, oh, and everybody's like, oh, you know. And it's like, great, you know. We used to think, gosh, how awful to have been brought up to think that, you know, one thing excludes another.
Oh, my pathway is a whole pick and mix of all sorts of things. And like you say, it's changed. You no longer chant. There's lots of things that I no longer do. My pathway started with Wicca. I don't follow that now, but it's all building blocks, isn't it? It's all different. You pick and mix bits and pieces and make it your own journey. But yeah, there's things I don't do now that I used to do, and vice versa. It's always changing, isn't it, to a certain degree?
It gets back to, we were talking about it a few blogs ago, like taking someone else's pathway, you know, like certainly a lot of the North Americans and the South American people say, oh, but you're stealing my tradition. And I do have good feelings about that. I have feelings about that. I don't necessarily think it's a good idea, but I do like, and I always have, saying, well, you do it this way and I do it that way, but aren't we talking about the same thing? And I mean, sometimes things are not right. I mean, there's another thing, and there were people from all sorts of traditions all around the world then. This, I I can't remember what tradition he was. I think it was one of the Mexican ones. And he wanted to give tobacco into the fire. And he said, he didn't say, he just came up and started to do it. I was like, no. And he looked at me. I said, but it's a gift. And I said, have you asked my goddess if she wants it?
Right, yeah.
And it turned out he did ask, and she didn't. And it was such a revelation for him that he couldn't give tobacco. That he had to check that the spirit, because he knew about spirits of place and the spirit of the land, all this sort of thing. And he had to check that the spirit of Britain didn't want tobacco, whereas the spirit of, I can't remember where it was, where he came from, did. And you know.
Well, that's kind of, I mean, we don't grow it over here, do we? We don't. It's not natural to the land. But I think with a lot, I mean, the good old smudging, smoke cleansing always comes up. But pretty much every culture has cleansed with smoke.
Yes.
The Vikings over here would have used mugwort. Yeah. I don't use white sage because it doesn't grow over here.
No, I don't either.
But every culture pretty much has used smoke to cleanse. Yeah. So it's not, you've just got to work with what's right for you, I think, within that, you know, just because I smudge with smoke, I smudge with smoke. Yeah, but we all have different things. And someone did point out the other day, it's not just about wafting a bit of smoke around. That's not smudging.
No.
You've got to have that ritual and that intent with it, isn't it? That's the important part.
It's the intent is the most important thing, and that, of course, for humans is where the ritual comes in, because the ritual helps you focus.
Yeah.
But no, you must know why you're doing it. You know, otherwise, I sometimes get these wonderful. My dad always used to get them, so I suppose I learned from him. You get these wonderful pictures of, you know, you set off this smudge stick or whatever it is, and all the gods are going, oh, what?
That stuff again.
And so it's all this. It's back to this connection again.
Yeah.
And Fiona and I have it all the time with things, because we're working with other world all the time where we are, and just in ordinary things like gardening or looking after the horses or something. And it's always like, do you want some of this? No. All right. Oh, is there anything you do want? Oh, you want that? Oh, all right then. And it's very weird. There's a lovely man I've followed for a while now, James French, and he came to all of this through mindfulness, and he's an animal speaker, and he really is, and he teaches it now through this kind of video stuff, and the animal gives him pictures, sort of like, this happened to me, and they can check it back, and it did, sort of thing. And he was out working with some wild horses in New Mexico, I think, and this mare, she got a really, really bad leg. It was half broken, but it could be mended. So they did the ordinary veterinary stuff for her, and it sort of half worked, and then she started to swell around it, so they had quite a trouble cutting the bandages off. And so he then really got into it, and he sort of said, what do you want? And they offered her various plants and things from around, and she took the sagebush.
Right.
No, sorry, not the sagebush, the tar bush. And so it went, oh yeah, because you put this tar from the plant on the wound, and it's been known for years, and it will help it. And the horse put her nose in that choice. And she knew, and so they followed what she knew, and it healed it.
Yeah.
And it's all that kind of stuff that you just got to stop trying to fix everything for everybody else and ask how you can help instead.
Yeah. But everything crosses, doesn't it? It's folk magic in across the globe, but it's all got so many similarities.
Yeah.
You know, it's each culture will be working with, I don't know, witch bottles or spell pouches or whatever kind of folk magic you work with, but it'll be similar across the globe, just different ingredients generally, because you use whatever grew locally to you.
Yeah, it does. And sometimes, like, I mean, I get all my students to make what we call the crane bag, which is actually, it's not a medicine bag. It's about a bag about you.
Yeah.
And they're all totally different.
Yeah.
And they're made of completely different, and they're not even necessarily natural, well, immediately natural subjects. Sometimes they are, and sometimes they're not. And you sort of say the words crane bag, and sort of crane is something, okay. Bag is sort of like, that's a bag. and you say, don't get stuck in that. Yours might not be. Yours might be a box, it might be a shell, it might be. I mean, one girl a few years back, she got a mermaid's purse. You know, the egg.
Yeah, the seaweed stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was hers.
Excellent.
And it was like, yeah, you know, but it's like out of the box again, as you said earlier. Get out of the box.
Yeah.
And it really does sort of open you up. But
I think
people to be brave.
Yeah. I'm using the smudging because it seems to be the prominent one, but I've got a smudge. I've got to do the smudging with smoke, and it's got to be white sage because that's what everyone uses. We've got to get outside of that, haven't we? No, I've never used it. It doesn't grow here. I don't even like the smell. I use whatever's in my garden, and I think it is getting outside of that. I have to use that because that book says that, or that internet says that, or that person. No, you've got to trust your own intuition and what's right for you, definitely.
Have you had that with using coloured candles? You know, there's a book that says, you know, black means this, red means this, green means that kind of thing. And then, you know, you think, or other words sort of goes ping in your head, you've got to get a coloured candle. And so you think, oh, well, the book says it should be green for this. I don't want green, I want white. And, okay. And I'm just like, okay. In fact, I don't even bother with what the book says. It's like, what colour?
I do. And I think, I mean, obviously, I've got lists in my books just as guidance for it, for all things, herbs, foods, colours, because you've got to start somewhere, haven't you, until you trust your intuition. But yeah, I don't look things up now, whatever I'm generally doing spell work wise. I'll just stand in front of, the dresser that's there with all the herbs and crystals and stuff, and I'll just go, right, what do I need? Brown candle. What? Brown? Okay.
And then by the time you get to the end of the ritual, you go, oh, that's why brown.
Now that makes sense.
Exactly. And one of my teachers from many years ago sort of said, you know, the main thing you need to learn right at the beginning is get out of the way.
Yeah. But I think that takes experience, doesn't it? It does take a bit of experience to trust your intuition.
Yeah, it does. And I think the sooner you start pushing that at people, the sooner they realise, yes, I can.
Yeah.
And I just love it because they also go, oh, I did that. Yeah, I found that. I listened and the goddess told me so. And it worked.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a little thrill moments of being a teacher, isn't it?
Well, I think we learn, don't you, even as the teacher? Well, we're all still learning anyway, but I learn so much from my students. Yeah. Different perspectives.
And they do something and something different happens. You go, gosh.
I never thought of that. Yeah.
No, I never did think of that. Blimey.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, when you do that too, and you don't have to know it all and everything, and you sort of, and they were here in November, which was lovely, and they were sharing things like that, and a couple of them were really sort of like, oh, tell me about it, I've never done that. And their confidence just sort of went, oh, I can, I'm allowed to tell her, she's happy to know, you know. And it just, you saw the person blossom.
Yeah.
And it was
what being on this journey is, isn't it? It is about learning about yourself, and I want to use the word improving yourself, but that doesn't sound quite right. But yeah, we do, don't we? Making yourself a better person for you.
Enlarging?
Yeah. Well, I did that with eating all the cake.
No, come on, that's not what I meant. Well, all right, I'm trying to think of one now. Evolving. Let's do evolving. Yeah, we can handle that. Evolving. Yeah.
And it's still happening. I mean, I'm 30 years into this, and this pathway. Not that I'm not 30 years old, obviously.
No. Just 31, dear. 31. Yes.
Yes. But my pathway's still changing. I mean, big changes this year. I can feel it all happening. But it's so it continues, and it's all exciting.
It is, and it's lovely to be on this path that walks. I mean, is sometimes called in magic in this country the crooked path.
Yeah.
And it is.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
And you know, and it'll turn around back on itself, and then it'll come up the other way. And that's what happens to you. Yeah. It's not a straight line.
No. Mine went like that, I think.
Oh, they do, yeah. I think actually they go in spirals. But it's not straight.
Yeah, no.
And it never ever is straight. No. And that's part of what makes it such fun.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Somebody says to me, well, what do you think is going to happen? I don't know. But I'm probably going to be scared to death, but it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Have we still wound up?
Yeah, I think we have. Well, we've gone over an hour waffling now, so.
Sorry about the waffle, people. Yeah, it's fine. I think people like it, so we'll go for it. Darling dog, it's all right. Mum's coming back.
Just been to investigate something. He's back now. You back now? Yeah.
Yeah. Is he? Right. Well, lovely to see you in the new year.
Yes. Enjoy your snow.
Yeah. I might be in the middle of it next time we're talking.
Yeah.
If it is, I'll try and organise that I can get pictures sharing up on it.
Yeah,
and then you can see what it's like. Now I know I can share. Okay, my love. Lovely to see you.
Yes, you too. And take care.
Ta-ra.
Bye-bye.